So this week you may have received an email that looks something like this, or indeed like this, because Flutterflow are changing their pricing structure. So I'm going to have a quick look at what they've done, what it means, and how the changes are going to affect us, the users. So starting off on the free plan, because I suspect the majority of people that watch this particular channel are probably on the free plan. I may be wrong, but I've got a free account and a paid account. I've got two accounts. So let's have a look and see what the changes are. So the original pricing is still published on the website. This is what we currently have in terms of the plans that are changing in August and September. We've got the free, the standard. I've got a free and a standard. We've got the pro and the teams. And then the enterprise is obviously fill in the form, likewise for education. Arguably, the biggest changes to the negative are in the free plan and what the change is. And I do believe the standard plan is actually much better, even though it's going up in price. I think this actually becomes a much better option for most people. Okay, firstly, I don't think you can blame Flutterflow for increasing some of the prices or certainly condensing them and changing things about. I suspect the Pro wasn't massively popular with people, or they were upgrading for a month just so they could use the one-click deployment and then downgrading again, that kind of stuff. So I suspect by changing the prices to bring the $70 a month standard back down to in line more with the $30 a month plan, just to align those a bit more with those gone up slightly, we'll get to that. I think they're probably going to get more paid users is my guess, and I think that's what they probably think, because the free plan was probably too generous in terms of what you could do with it. So therefore, I think they've got to move a lot of those users up into a paid plan to make their business model work. Just my 2 cents. Anyway, so what have they changed? If you are a free user and you want to continue to be a free user, obviously you can. There is still a free product. However, the changes they're making are going to make it a little bit more challenging and give you a little less freedom, I suppose. And this is taking effect on the 4th of September. So this is the email I had to my free account. So basically the biggest change, I would argue, is the fact you can only have up to 2 active projects. Now, if you're a Superbase user, that's also the same on their free tier, and it's never caused me a problem. I'm a free Superbase user, continue to be, and I've got a couple of accounts, I'm sure most people have, and you can sort of keep, depending on how many apps you've got running, you can actually get round that. So I suspect what's going to happen is on the free tier is that a lot of people are going to have more accounts in Flutterflow, but essentially we've got 2 active projects, only 1 API endpoint. Now, we can get round API endpoints by doing them in custom code, or indeed, if you are a Superbase user, you can actually use remote procedure calls in your custom actions and make your API calls from Superbase, and that obviously is at 0 cost. So that itself isn't really an issue. You can get around that. I think the biggest thing is going to be the 2 projects. If you're anything like me, you've got projects all over the place in various states of building, just because you enjoy doing it, you have an idea and you start implementing it and you sort of hit a wall and you go move on to something else and you keep coming back to it. I think all us people that do this sort of thing all the same, we're just sort of always going on to the next shiny thing, I think. So the 2 active projects may be an issue to you, it may not. And then technical support, that is going to be maybe an issue for some people. However, community forum is very active. The Reddit sub is active and people are helpful. Obviously, you've got YouTube channels like this one and obviously many others, and of course the Flutterflow University. So they're the biggest things, and obviously you're only going to have one development environment. So again, if that's something that's going to affect you or bother you, you're probably going to have to think about upgrading your plan. Now, the other thing you're going to have to look out for is when it starts, all your free projects are going to be archived until you actually select which ones you want. So if you've got more than 2 projects you want to keep editing, you're going to have to think about how you're going to do it before September the 4th, because they're going to disappear and you're only going to be able to keep 2 of them. So that you really need to think about. So make that note in your diary for September the 4th. If you want to continue on the free plan and you've got multiple projects that you want to keep, you nearly need to think about what you're going to do, or indeed you're going to have to upgrade to a new plan. So that's the free version. They're making it less generous to force people to move up to a higher tier. I can fully appreciate that. They are running a business after all. So that's the free plan. So now then, I think the biggest change, and is actually a really positive thing, is what they're doing on the standard plan and the pro plan. So what they're doing essentially, they're amalgamating these and upping the price for the most part. Some of the things I think we're going to lose, but for the most part, all the good features that certainly I use and some I don't even have access to yet because I'm not on the Pro plan, I'm going to get. So on the new plan that starts on the 4th of August, I'll get 30 days, and it does say that between the 4th of August and 4th of September, when this is being rolled out, you will actually get 20% off annual plans. Now I'm on the annual plan, I don't play monthly, so I should definitely be doing that because it's about actually aligns with my renewal anyway. I think it's around that sort of time, so for me it's actually quite handy, but I don't know how it's going to affect you. If your annual plan is, for instance, in December or January or something, whether they're going to pro-rata the difference or what, I do not know. I guess that's something you'll have to find out. But mine's around about September time anyway, so it's not going to make a big difference to me personally. So what they've done, a lot of the features that we didn't have access to in the standard plan but were in the Pro plan, we're now going to have for the new price of $39 a month. So that is a $9 a month increase, which, although is obviously about a 30% increase, which is a lot, it's only $9 a month. And the biggest headline in here is obviously we are going to get the one-click App Store deployment. Again, there were arrays around that. I've actually in the process of putting together some bits and pieces on that. However, I may scrap that because it's going to be no longer required because we're going to have one-click deployment in the standard plan. You still can't download the code in the free plan, so therefore you've got to be on at least the standard plan currently to be able to download your code and use something like Code Magic to be able to deploy to the App Store without a Mac, for instance. So as we're now getting one-click deployment on the standard plan anyway, that kind of will no longer be a requirement. It's just going to make life much easier for everybody. So that is the headline, and I think that's absolutely brilliant. I'm really glad they're doing that, and it's going to be well worth the $9 a month in itself. Custom domain as well. I've got a site I can use for that straight away, which I'm very much looking forward to at no extra cost. So that's it. And then obviously unlimited API endpoints. Again, we only had 2 with the standard plan. We're getting unlimited, which was part of the Pro plan. So they're the headlines. Publish and share libraries. When they first brought out libraries, I think it was on the standard plan. They removed it because I'm sure I did a video where I was publishing a library from the standard plan and then I went into it and all of a sudden I couldn't anymore. So I believe that is what happened, but I'm not 100% sure. But to be able to publish libraries, you can still import them obviously, but to be able to publish them is also a great feature. So individual plan, which is the new name for the standard plan, is, I think, I'm not going to say a bargain because it's still $40 a month, but it is actually a massive upgrade to what you're getting for your money compared to the $30 a month one, because the $70 a month one was really quite a lot of money for people that, you know, it's just a hobby, or you're not earning from your apps, or you're not building for other people, or whatever it may be. But, you know, $39 a month, it brings it much more affordable to everybody that is an individual, hence I guess the point. And here is the comparison table. They've got a comparison table. I will actually drop this in the comments down below, although if you've already a Flutterflow user, you're going to have this. If you're not a Flutterflow user, this may be of interest to you because you're going to see the different things that you're going to get. Because if you're just about to sign up to Flutterflow, you will see this page when you go and sign up. But in actual fact, in a month's time, or just over a month's time, whatever it is, a couple of months in actual fact, this is going to change. So if you're not a Flutterflow user, these are changing on the 4th of August to the 4th of September being rolled out. So this comparison is going to remain free, but obviously we are bringing down the usage, although you can now import libraries. I didn't know you couldn't on the free plan, but now you can. That's obviously a good thing. So really the individual plan, the new middle tier plan, this is where I think they've played a blinder, in my opinion. We're getting loads more stuff. It's a lot cheaper. And it's going to, for them, pull in a lot more users, paying users. I've said it a few times, but, you know, the headline being the one-click App Store deployment is worth that in itself. And then we've got these other bits and pieces that were in the Pro plan, but are now going to be individual plan. GitHub Sync, for instance. I'm not a massive user of it myself. I have done videos on it, but I don't back up all my projects to it. But if you do so, obviously you can have it on the sync there, which you couldn't before. Now, if you're on the Pro plan and it's just a massive price drop to get this extra stuff, I think it is well worth it. So on the collaboration plans, the change on the smaller plan for, we're calling it the growth, for the 2 users is obviously a very slight price decrease, but you are losing the audit logs and the branching, which were previously available, I believe. I say I'm an individual user, not a Teams user. I'm not really into the collaboration plans myself, but I think you're losing those. And I think the backups were more than 1 day. We are losing those. They were originally in the Pro plan. We're losing those individual plan, but it's not something I've never really thought about, so I'm not going to miss it if I've never had it. And then on the Teams and business plan, 3 to 5 users. So again, that's probably going to be, for most businesses, that's going to be the one, I guess, that gets used the most. It's interesting. There are some big changes. Flutterflow have actually come out with it. Plenty of notice, and they're actually explaining what they're doing, why they're doing it. And then down here in the frequently asked questions, there is a whole bunch of information that you can go and read and see how it's going to affect you. I don't blame them. I think this is actually a net positive for the Flutterflow as a business. I think us as users, I think the free plan users are maybe getting the worst deal out of it all, but I can understand why, because Flutterflow obviously want you to pay for the product. That's fair enough. You can't blame them for that, which is probably why they've made the Pro plan so much more affordable, just to bring more people on board. So that's my take on it. Overall, I think it's a net positive. For if you're a standard plan user, I think it's an absolute win, because you're getting a lot more features for not a lot more money. If you only wanted the free plan and you're building one app and you're going to publish it to the web for your small business something, then it's not going to make any difference to you anyway, so that's fine. If you're like me and you just like building stuff and you're on the free plan, that is going to affect you, obviously. So you are going to have to decide if you want to continue to be a user or pay for it. So that's it. That's my thoughts. Overall, a positive for everybody involved. So I'd be interested to know what you think. I know some people believe everything should be free forever, but unfortunately that's not the way the world works. I wish it did, but it doesn't, and you can't blame Flutterflow to needing to make a profit somewhere along the line. So I'd be interested to know in the comments down below how it's going to affect you and what you think about the changes. Normal service will be resumed next week, when I will actually go delving into some more Flutterflow functionality and building stuff. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next video.